Hello, and welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with your hosts, Daniel.
And Daniel.
I feel like at the beginning, I gave you this look right at the beginning. I was like, with your host, Daniel, and I looked at you, and you didn't look back at me. That's fine, but because we didn't plan it. But maybe we should emphasize it at the beginning of our episodes where I go, and Daniel, and not point, but just like kind of emphasize it. We're talking about the other Daniel.
Okay, I was looking at the camera because that's who we're going.
No, I know, I get that.
That's where the
I'm
audience is.
That would be a nice little nod. It's like, wait, which Daniel are Daniel's talking about is really
well, now you just pulled back the curtain so everybody knows what we're doing now.
No, we're not planning to do it. I'm just saying that would be kind of interesting if one day we just add a little bit of oomph and just see which episode.
You can tell I haven't seen him in 2 weeks.
Coming up with the weird ideas as usual. No, I'm on a high right now, man. I've been working really hard. The summertime's coming up. I'm excited.
Surprised you haven't been blown away with this freaking wind.
Now, that I'm not a fan of.
This has been... I'm glad I missed all last week. I know, Tuesday was really bad.
Yeah.
But I was looking at a statistic that this is the worst windstorms that we have had since the Dust Bowl in the 1930s.
Yep.
Almost 100 years, this is the worst wind we've had.
And so I've never had a problem with taking care of your house and your dogs while you're gone.
Yeah.
Totally fine. There's one exception to that though. It's because so to let the viewers know, your wife gardens a lot, and she's great at it. And they have this nice garden out in the middle of their yard. And I have one of those sprayers. And spraying at that distance, you're spraying into the wind.
Yeah.
And there was multiple times where it's a gust of something, there you go, I get splashed again. And then the dogs would get startled because they thought I was spraying them, so they'd be mad at huffing at me a little bit. Dude, I thought we were cool. Why are you splashing me, bro? They don't understand the wind velocities and,
Well, it's not only that. Normally when we leave and do stuff like this, it's not supposed to be windy. May is not supposed to be windy. We should have been done with that by mid-April.
Yeah. Should have.
So it's not our fault you got sprayed.
That's right. Yeah, no, and I'm not blaming you. You're making it sound like I'm blaming you. No, I'm not.
It sounds like there was being blame put there.
No, there was no blame. It's just that's the one thing I regretted about it. It's just spraying into the wind because I didn't have much of a choice.
Hey, you got some board games out of it, including a rare out-of-print game.
Oh, yeah, that's very true. I'm not complaining. Which I can't wait to get those to the table, honestly. But we'll talk about those another time. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about Board Game Brainstorm for the party game, classic party game, Time's Up.
Okay, so for people who don't realize this was actually on the docket earlier in the year. Yeah. We weren't sure if we're going to be able to record it, so we took it off the thing, and we couldn't, for the life of us, remember what it was when we realized, hey, there is a fifth Monday in this month. Yeah. We can record this after all.
Right.
And it's like, what did we have planned? And you're like, I don't know. And I finally found it on a cheat sheet that I have on here, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I had to move it into this month.
You're like, so that's the one.
That was the one we were forgetting. Okay.
Right. How easy was it for you for this list?
It wasn't at all. I mean, it because Time's Up is so unique in the kind of party game that it is. I wanted to give something that gives you that kind of party game, but also gives you the feel that Time's Up gives you. It plays over to 3 distinct rounds. Yep. You're paying attention to clues that other people are giving.
Yep.
You're trying to discuss with your team for certain things. So it's just one of those things that how to knock all those points really well and what it gives. Like, I am proud of my list. There's one that I have to probably be like, now hear me out kind of thing. But honestly,
that would be very uncharacteristic of our podcast.
Yeah, but honestly, I love every single one of these picks. I think they fit the Time's Up opus miranda. I can't word today for some reason.
It's all right.
Modus operandi. There we go. But I like all the 5 games I came up with here. So
good. Yeah, I think my 5 are pretty good. Although one,
I think we may have
I don't think
crossover.
his imprint, not technically at the moment.
All of mine should still be in print. I don't know about one of them because...
Mine was in print up until about 2 weeks ago, for sure. Let that be a clue to you.
Interesting.
So we'll see if we have any crossovers.
I think there's one, maybe two.
Maybe two? Okay, cool. But, Daniel, before we get into that, what have you been doing outside of gaming?
Well, I mentioned it just recently. I went on a trip. I was gone last week. Our audio listeners are not going to hear any difference. We made sure to double record and have it backed up. But I went to Denver. My wife had a work job out there, and we decided to go spend Mother's Day with my in-laws up in Colorado Springs, especially since my mother-in-law just had knee replacement surgery, so she couldn't get out and about. So we're like, all right, we'll go up there, visit with her, and then we'll go to Denver, and my wife will work her week, and then we'll just hang out in Denver area, which was fantastic. I had a blast. Unfortunately, I couldn't go see the Colorado Rockies because they were out of town facing Texas that week. I think they were in Texas and one other team, so there was no way I could make a game because I had just missed their last homestand that Saturday, and I'm kind of wish I could have gone to that homestand because the San Diego Padres were in town, and they destroyed the Rockies. It was like 20-0. It was insane. I'm like, I wish I was at that game, seeing all those runs scored.
Yeah.
But all in all, it was a fun little trip. We did a lot of board game shopping as well.
Sure.
I hit a couple places.
But you're not allowed to talk about it.
Yeah. I hit a couple places. I hit a couple places, so there's that.
Give them a shout out though.
I went to G.A.M.E.R in Colorado Springs. That's where I picked up your copy of Star Trek Star Realms.
Yeah.
And then I picked up myself an expansion for X-Men Unite or Marvel United that I didn't get on the Kickstarter. It's one of the team cards where, like how we were playing the Fantastic Four, where there's a team card. Yeah. It has it where you can build those teams. I didn't get that one in the original or the Kickstarter, so now I have it for a lot of the Marvel teams now.
Was Gamer Haven where you found Ravel in the wild?
Yes, Gamer Haven was where I found.
Shout out to Gamer Haven, rock stars.
There was a copy there. I did not see one, and I didn't see the last minute either for Impatience at the other board game shop that I went to. We went to a third game shop, but it was kind of like it was more of a miniature store. They were really heavy in the Warhammer and stuff like that. So the games that they had there, I already owned that I would have wanted. So. Yeah. But we went to Black and Red, which is one they recently. I just told you this. They moved, so they're further down the road a little bit in Arvada. Yeah. Oh, I love that place. My wife was there, and she's like, "You were not kidding." And you're like, "Well, what's the difference?" I'm like, "Oh, all the games are on shelves now. They have room now."
Yeah, you're not tripping over like a rare out of print game.
Though I did find a rare I wouldn't say out of print, but hard to find game. I did pick up myself Queen's To Be or Not to Be.
Yep.
A Damn It Down game.
Yes.
I was like, holy crap, I found this here. Yeah. I was able to pick up some stuff for my buddy Gamehead Geek because he helped me out a lot with taking down the tree in our front yard.
Yep.
Thank God, because we were afraid that because of the way the wind's been going, that tree would have been taken down. So that's the main stuff that we did. We also hit Cherry Creek Mall and walked around Cherry Creek Mall, which is a really bougie mall. I mean, they had a freaking Lamborghini in the mall. As well, and it was
on purpose.
Yeah, it's one of those. One of the.
Or is it just some snobby guy? It's like, this is my parking space now.
No, some snobby guy's car lot puts them in the store. So there was a Lamborghini in there. There was also a Ferrari, I believe. There was like a Bentley or something in there. This is like a popular. Because this is the bougie one. You go, it's like, okay, this is the normal kind of mall. They have like a yogurt shop and stuff like that. And you go around the corner, and there's the Gucci, the Louis Vuittons, and all that. So it was a bit bougie. Did find a board game in there at a toy shop, which is kind of neat. I'm not too very familiar with it, but I do like the designer's other two games that I played of it.
What's the game?
It is called Vampire something. It's from Studio H. And it is from the designer of The Loop and Mind Up.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so I forget what it's called. It's Vampire something. I'll have to look it up, but I have it sitting on my table up front. Also, we plan on going back in August because there's a concert up there, so I'm going to do more stuff in Denver. Cool. But the two things I do want to say that we hit up for sure is we hit up one of our favorite restaurants. Actually, we've hit both of these restaurants before, but we did hit our Brazilian restaurant that we love going to every time we're in Denver. This is called Rodizio's Grill Brazilian Steakhouse. It's in downtown
You
Denver.
and your Brazilian steakhouses, man.
Oh man, my wife loves Brazilian steakhouses too.
Yeah, so does mine.
So it was so good. They had a chimichurri steak, which was really good. That was coming off the grill. The chicken was to die for. They had like 3 really good pieces of chicken. There was a bacon wrapped one, there was a garlic parm one, and then there was like a sweet and spicy chicken, which was really good.
Oh
wow! And then almost like a buffalo honey sauce that you would get drizzle. It was really good. Of course, you can't go wrong with the grilled pineapples that come off of that. The salad bar was really good. They had the cheese stuffed breads that my wife enjoyed. I wasn't a fan of it. The texture, just not my kind of thing.
Yeah.
But all in all,
I like the cheese breads. Those are fun.
Yeah, no, but it's a texture thing for me.
Yep, I get it. It's a weird texture.
It is really a very weird texture. It's like, why is the bread doughy? Oh no, that's just the cheese inside of it.
You never know where like the crunchy bread transitions into the gooey cheese.
Yeah.
Because there's not a clear delineation.
No, it's not. But it's a white bread with a white cheese, so
right. You can't visually see it either.
So yeah, no. Other than that, it tasted fine. Everything was good there. I really do the lime marinated cucumbers. That is like one of my favorite things to get there. What else did we do? We also hit the Del Frisco Grill Steakhouse. One of the best steaks I've ever had. It was a New York strip that I got there with the garlic butter sauce and some roasted asparagus. We go there because my wife loves the appetizer. They have like these really fancy deviled eggs, and they were so good. Oh, they're so good. The wife put it up. We basically paid $14 for 2 eggs because it's a deviled egg cut in half. But I don't know what they put in the yolk and stuff like that for the deviled egg part of it. But it's so good. I know it's a balsamic glaze over the top of it. But we enjoyed that. She got a burger that she really enjoyed. It was a dry rubbed cheeseburger. Oh. She said that was probably one of the best burgers she's ever had. Oh no, we enjoyed our time in Denver. We did a lot of walking. I didn't get to go to the zoo because I was going to go. And then I had a massive migraine because of the wind that we just had recently out here. And just all the sleep deprivation and the travel and stuff like that. I just was tired. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to chill here. And then Wednesday, I was like, I should go out now. And then I decided, no, it's game night. So I played a lot of my solo games in the hotel room. You can go check out the pictures of those on Instagram. But other than that, fantastic trip to Denver. Like I said, we're going to be going back in August for a concert. So looking forward to that.
Cool. Very fun. Yeah, we enjoyed our game night. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll see the post that I made.
I still hosted it, even though I wasn't here.
Yeah, he hosted it. It was here. We played with his dogs and played a bunch of 2-player games, and it was fantastic games.
Nice. I almost picked you up beer and bread, but then I saw the Rudiger Dorn. The Rudiger Dorn. What is
Karuba.
it? Karuba, the card game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he'd prefer this one just because it's so hard to find this one.
Very much like Rudiger Dorn. Very much.
Well, not just that. That's also a hard to find out of print game.
We actually played a Rudiger Dorn as a 2-player game while you were gone. I'll have to remember which one it is, but we played it and we're like, oh, okay, this is cool how this works.
Nice.
Yeah, it was Dragonheart.
Oh, okay,
no, actually, no, I didn't play that with Dom. I played it online. And
I saw that.
It's a super clever little game.
I saw it's like one of those hard to find ones, but it's on Board Game Arena.
Yeah, and I have a physical copy of it, and it's really clever. Really clever how it works. I very much enjoyed my play of it.
What about you outside gaming?
So outside of gaming, right now summer is coming up, and as listeners of the podcast know, I am an educator, and so I'm a technology teacher for elementary students. And
it's rocket season.
It is rocket season. That's right. That's what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
No, and so I don't think any of my students listen to this podcast. I mean, why would you? But
that would be weird.
If you do, bravo, you're a legend. But I don't think you do. So I'd be surprised. So I'm going to give a little bit of spoilers.
I mean, we get a lot of downloads out of New Mexico, so
that's true. That's true. And it's not just your dogs anymore.
I haven't put a podcast on them for a while.
Yeah. Despite that, no. One of the cool things is that we like to change it up a little bit every season. Add a little bit more, do a little bit of flair. So, are you familiar with rocket engines and how they work? No.
Yeah. Well, it depends. What kind of rocket engines are we talking about? Like the actual for rockets?
Like the letters, like what those are. Okay, so there's letters A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
Right?
Somewhat. I'm not familiar with them, but I am.
A is the letter is the amount of power it has, basically, right? And every letter is twice as powerful as the previous one. Mm-hmm. And we've always fired B rockets, which is, the engines are pretty powerful. It goes about 80 to 100 feet, which is significant, right? So A is half of that. Unfortunately, the funding that we got only allowed us to get A-sized rockets. I still have some Bs left over, but it is what it is. One of the things, right now we're in a mad rush because we're launching on Friday.
So hopefully it's not windy.
I've been keeping an eye on the weather. That's why I put it out Friday, because that'll give us a little bit of wiggle room.
We're supposed to get it today and tomorrow, so we should be nice the rest of the day.
And Friday is supposed to be nice and clear. Knock on wood, and hopefully that it won't be too bad. But
sounded hollow in there.
Yeah. One of the cool things about finding those rockets is that we also got some funding, and we got more launch pads. So we decided one of the cool things we're gonna do, we're gonna start launching 3 at a time. And that should speed up the process quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
And it'll have, like, the kids, like, natural competitiveness, If I can get a 4th rocket launched at the same time, we'll pick 1 per class. Like,
there you go.
Because we have 4 5th grade classes, so I'll pick 1 kid per class, and we'll launch them all at the same time, which would be great, right?
Yeah.
But I thought that every once in a while I like to try and, like, reward those kids who just really don't get recognized as much. Maybe they're not athletic, so sports they don't get an athlete, or maybe they're not as high academically, so they're not getting like the AB honor rolls or anything like that, right? But
maybe they're just like the quiet kid who keeps themselves.
Yeah, or the quiet kid, right? And I like to try and really focus on those kids that are like that would get passed by normally. Like I don't care about the academics, I don't care about any of this, but every once in a while there's some kids that really deserve that, and deserve that extra recognition. So I've been talking with the other teachers and the 5th grade teachers, and we're going to pick 1 kid per class. And I bought C rockets. This is the first time we've ever done this.
Out of your own pocket?
Out of my own pocket. I spent my own money to buy C engines, which should go about 150 to 200 feet, maybe more. This is the very first time we'll do this. And I was talking with a 4th grade teacher, and he was like, you shouldn't say anything about it. You should be like, wow, your design is just really good. Like, we lost sight of it, guys. No idea where to... No, I thought about that, but if it goes haywire, because it's a rough design, maybe like the rocket goes a little off kilter, you should probably know that ahead of time.
Yeah.
You're like, duck and cover. But,
Run!
Yeah, and so we're gonna really surprise them, because that'll be the most powerful rockets that we've ever had.
It's probably the most powerful rockets you can really shoot off, like in school areas. I know you can get the other ones, but it's
probably. I don't know. I haven't looked into that. Don't yuck
legality
my yum,
here.
Sir.
Legality, man.
No, the big reason, the reason I went with C's is because the tube is the same size as all 3. Mm-hmm. So A's, B's, and C's are all the same tube. It's just how much is built into it.
Yeah.
And those are filled to the brim. Anything bigger, D's or more, they're bigger engines.
Yeah.
And we designed it specifically for that size. So a C engine should be absolutely incredible. So I'll let you know. I'm gonna film that. Can't wait for their reactions. And we already probably have the kids ready.
You should make a reel of it, not with the kids, but just the rockets going off.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And maybe put it up on our Instagram if people they're interested in checking that out.
Sure, yeah, why not?
There's some outside of gaming right there on our Instagram.
Exactly, it would be so fun, and I like the idea of taking a kid per class, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Especially if they're not going to get acknowledged elsewhere, and
right, exactly,
because that could be not really detrimental, but I get it. Like I've known a lot of quiet kids, and I try to take when I was going to school, I took some under my wing. So
yeah, exactly, and I was always the loud one, right? Like I always adopted all the.
What else was new?
Right, I love my introverts. All my like.
I mean, you just got to look at your shoes and see how loud you are.
Speaking of, you can see those from the rocket height. No, I have always appreciated introverts for being introvert. I'm okay with that. But I do feel like they get overshadowed because of that. Yeah. So I want to recognize some of those kids. And, like, there's one kid. Like
so much so that we're both married to introverts.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah. Yeah. And not each other either. Like, that wouldn't make sense.
No.
But one of my students, he's a little more of a popular kid, but he has gone out of his way. He helped more than half of the kids in his class finish their rocket. And he was like, he's always the first one to be like, oh, well, like, we don't have enough of these to go around. Well, I'll just step back. You guys go ahead and have fun.
Yeah.
Right? He's very humble, very good. He's kind of a popular kid, but it's like he's such a good kid.
Yeah.
And a good nature. I want him to be recognized, kind of thing.
Yeah, I know. I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone kind of...
Because he puts others first.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. He's the kind of kid who, if I told him it's between you and one other kid who wants the big engine, he'd be like, go ahead and give it to them.
Yeah.
That he deserves it now. That's exactly the kind of kid he is. So it's rocket season, man.
All right.
Blast off on Friday. I can't wait.
Nice. That'd be kind of cool.
And on top of that, unfortunately, I found out one of my fifth graders. She told me today she finished her rocket, and she was like, "Hey, can I take this home?" I'm like, "Well, I'm worried you won't be able to. If you forget it, we can't launch it." She was like, "Oh, well, I won't be here Friday anyway." I was like, "Wait, what?" And she was like, "Yeah, like we're taking a trip on Friday, and I won't be here for the rest of the school year, so Thursday's my last day." And I was like,
because you guys have like what, 2 weeks left?
Yeah, we haven't.
This week and then the next week after that, exactly. After Memorial Weekend.
Yep. And so I was like, "That's a bummer." Like, wait, what? She's like, "Yeah, we have to take a family trip." I'm like, "Did you get picked up or are you on the bus?" She's like, "Pick up." I'm like, "I'm gonna talk to Mom." and I told her, I was like, "Yo, she just finished her rocket today. I don't want her to miss out on this. Can she stay a little bit after school on Thursday?" And Mom was like, "Yeah, why not? Sure." I was like, "I want to launch it then. Like, she will be the first to launch her rocket because I don't want her to miss out on this."
Yeah, because it's an experience. They do all this work and build it up, and
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge thing for them, and they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. So
yeah. I mean, you still remember shooting rockets in your grade school.
Right. I remember how to build it when I was a fifth grader.
You know what we did for our rockets? And we just made our own rockets and didn't use like engines.
Smuggled fireworks onto school, right?
No, we used they didn't go high, but it was like vinegar and baking soda stuff like that. We did those kind of rockets. Yeah. Yep. Well, I went to a poor school.
No, that's fair, and I love my PTO for being able to pay for all those, because they're the ones who bought all those engines. So I can't. I would do it if I had to, but that's talking $400 worth of engines.
Oh no, I believe it. Yeah.
So I can't appreciate them enough.
And that's $400 you don't get to spend on board games.
Right, exactly. Priorities, people. All of these kids' beneficial gains that will improve their lives drastically, or me playing a game that's going to sit on my shelf of shame for probably a year or two. That's a tough choice. Anyway, let's get into today's episode.
All right, I'm ready to do this. So again, we talked about we're doing a board game brainstorm of a party game that we both love. As you can see, I got 2 copies sitting right there up on that shelf. We have the original Time's Up Total, not the original, Time's Up Total Recall sitting there, as well as Time's Up Family Edition. We did do a review of Family Edition. Once again, thank you to R&R for providing us that copy last year. Can you describe what Time's Up is? Because I love this game.
Time's Up is played over 3 rounds. It is a team game or pairs game, however you want to break it down. But the idea is that you have a bunch of cards that all have either titles, subjects, ideas, nouns, whatever. You're trying over 3 rounds to score the most points. You get points by having your partner or partners name what is on the card. Mm-hmm. The first round, it's just like password, right? I could be like, all right, loaf, wheat.
No, well, the first round is you can give as much as you want for a clue.
Yeah. So I would say loaf, wheat,
bread.
Yeah, okay. So as soon as he says it, I deal out on the card and go, right? And trying to get those. It's a 30-second timer, so you try and do it. Now, there's 40 cards, and you go through them. If it was something like Title Recall, the slight difference, I might be like Terminator,
Arnold
California.
Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, exactly. Then boom, we got the point. Right?
And the thing about it too, the first round you cannot pass anything.
Right, you can't pass, so they're going through it. But it's one of those few party games where it's really important that the other teams pay attention during that, because you can say as much as you want as long as there's nothing on the card. Totally fine.
Yeah.
Second round, you take those same 40 cards, shuffle them back up, do it again, except for one word. So I could be like, loaf.
Bread.
Right? California.
I was going to say Terminator.
Then we lose that point,
right?
We
lose that point.
You know, and then so it's a one word clue, one guess. Then the final round, take the same 40 cards, shuffle them back up, except now you're acting. Now it's charades. I wouldn't even know how to do loaf for Terminator, but you get the idea. We would find a way, right? Yeah.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, exactly. So, audio listeners, I'm sorry, I had to mime it. Like that's just part of the game.
One of my favorite ones from Time's Up is when I first played it. We were doing, I think it was Title Recall, and I had a clue of Hodor, and I had to go pantomime, so I ran to the door and I held the door.
Yeah, and my favorite memory is seeing my father-in-law do the Ace Ventura butt talking. Like, I've never thought I would see that in my life, and it absolutely was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So, Title Recall, Time's Up, just works for families, it works for group parties.
They have a family
adults.
edition, you have Total Recall, you have the original Time's Up if you can find it out
it's
there.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's lovely. And it was really inexpensive. Like, for the longest time, it was being sold at like Barnes & Noble and Target and stuff for like $20.
Yeah, and what I like about the new one, the family edition there, it has the score pad on the back end of the thing. You have a dry erase board.
Yep.
And it has a magnetic seal. You open it up, and there's the score pad right there.
Yep.
So, fantastic job on that.
Yep, brilliant production. So, we're going to give you 5 recommendations each for games based on our G.A.M.E.R criteria of ones that we think that if you like Time's Up, Title Recall, or I keep saying Title Recall, sorry. I'm just so used to it, but any version of Time's Up,
yeah.
If you like that, then you'll probably like these games as well. Or if you like these other games but have never played Time's Up, give it a try. You know, you might like it for the same reason.
Exactly.
So, you ready to get into this?
I'm ready to get into it. Flip the coin.
All right, here we go. Here's our coin of doom. Let's try that again, because that was cattywampus. All right, I'll start us off. First off is game immersion, okay? And one of the things I talked about at the beginning of it is the game immersion, it's really tense. It's 30-second rounds, and then it passes to the next team, passes to the next team. Those 30 seconds are so intense. I've seen some people get like 6-7 points each, right? It's wild how many points. So, first off, is the game fun to lose? That's the first criteria,
and
right?
Time's Up is, oh my God.
It's always fun to lose, yeah. It's pretty good. Player interaction, oh yeah, it's important that we're playing along. And you're going to have those memorable moments.
Yeah.
Just like our G.A.M.E.R criteria. Like I said, we brought those up. So I wanted to pick a game that was just as chaotic, just as silly, and also a party game. And one of the charming things I like about Time's Up, Title Recall, is that if you gave anybody an amount of time, like if you give them like 3 or 4 minutes per round, that would be really boring.
Yeah.
Right? That would take the fun out of it. The 30-second rounds are really intense. So I wanted a party game that
you also get
timer.
You also get that point where it's like because you're feeling the time pressure.
Yeah. I know. There's always some players that pull the card. Every time. And I love that brain rot from the person who's giving the clue, and the chaoticness of the timer. So I went with one that does that, and this game is called Stay Cool. And in Stay Cool, one person is answering questions.
I thought this was going to be on your list.
Yeah, and they're very simple questions, but the person on your left is asking you one question that you have these 4 or 5 dice that you're actually spelling out the word, and they should be pretty obvious, like bread. It's like, what's another word for bread, or what's it like commonly formed in? Oh, loaf,
Yeah.
And so you spell it out with the letters, and then the person on your right is asking you a question that you just answer out loud. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Except they're both asking the questions pretty much at the same time, and they are repeating it same time, and you're trying to answer both as many different things as you can, because the answers on your left are going to be multiplied by the number of answers on your right, and that's your score. And it's absolute insanity, because you're breaking your brain. You're like, loaf, and then like the other person is supposed to repeat it in case you forgot your question. So even though I'm trying to spell loaf, you're going to be like, yo, what is this? Like, what is the holiday between New Year's and Thanksgiving commonly? And then you're like, while you're spelling a word, and it pulls your brain in 2 very different ways. It's absolutely chaotic. I want to say though, this is not for everybody. People who don't like that kind of stress, you won't be convinced otherwise with this. But if you like that little bit of just absolute ridiculous chaoticness, this does it in spades, and it really hones in a great way. So, Stay Cool. That's my game immersion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I've only played it the little bit of time we played at the G.A.M.E.R Expo about 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, too, with this one is I know for a fact I will not own this because it would stress the crap out of my wife.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of those things where she can't really do the 2 things at once and feeling stress on both sides. Yeah, so no. But no, I do agree with this.
Not for everybody. I admit that.
I do agree with this one. I do find it fun. I think it's a fantastic game. But the stress inducing that would cause my wife, I choose to stay married. All right, so
how do you spell divorce with 4 letters?
So my game that I'm choosing for game immersion is a fantastic game to lose. I didn't lose this when I played it, but I did enjoy the fact... I mean, you lost it, I think. Because if I remember correctly with this one, you're scoring one of two ways. You're working with your partners on your left and your right because your whole point is you want to get in sync with them. This is a game you showed us that we truly... And you can find it in Target, Barnes & Noble. I've seen it in all these stores. This one is medium.
Yeah.
One, it has a decent player count. It's a fantastic party game. You try to get in sync and score better with your partner to your left and right. So you get 2 words, and then you're trying to think of the word that fits your person's word and my word. If you miss, then the words that you guys shout, you're trying to make up a match to that. Match, and so I do... For fewer points, yeah. But I do like that one, and there was a point when we played it that me and Dammit Dom were in sync, and it came out, we had to find out something that was like robot in a 90s movie or some weird thing, something like that. And both of me and looked at each other, and we got into sync, and you're like, okay, say it now. And we both said Johnny Five. And you're like, holy... Let's go. We were high-fiving.
That is stand-up moments at its finest.
And so this is where that I truly felt this one soared in, because it gives you those stand-up moments. You're basically trying to give clues to what you have. You're trying to come up with the in sync with your partner. It gives you all that feel that you get in Time's Up, but it's just that fun little game that just really sings when you're, because it is competitive just like Time's Up, but it's competitive in a way that I want to score big on both of these sides, because whatever points I'm getting is going to be my total points. So if I'm scoring well with Daniel number 2 over here and Dammit Dom over here, I'm doing well, and I can beat everybody else at this table because this is how it's scoring for me, and I really do like that one. Medium is my pick for game immersion.
Very cool. Now we're going to go into art and production.
And when we're talking about art and production, this is very subjective. The art, again, Time's Up doesn't really have a lot of art.
It really doesn't.
Really nice color schemes of blue and yellow.
Blue and yellow.
I wonder where that's from. But
they stole it.
The art's fine. The pieces and components are great. The card stock and stuff like that is really good in that game. And the graphic design.
Squared corners.
Not a fan.
Yeah, not a fan. But it's fine.
Yeah, but the card stock is good.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then the graphic design. Is it legible? Is it readable? I like what Title Recall tells you is that this subject is it's a book, or it's a TV show, or it's a movie, and it lets people clue in. And then the family edition, is it a noun? Is it a verb? And stuff like that. I like that kind of thing, what it's telling you. So the game I picked when it comes to that is something that has art in it, which is fantastic. It has pieces and components that are okay. The cardboard pieces are okay, but the plastic pieces in this game is fantastic. The graphic design is very legible, and the one I went with is one I play every Halloween. I wanted to get some sort of Dixit clone on this one because Dixit really feels in that aspect.
Okay.
So the one I went is the true co-op where you're giving clues. The ghost is giving clues to the party to try to clue in. Is
this your Hear Me Out?
No, this is not my Hear Me Out.
Really?
No, I have a different Hear Me Out. Yeah.
This isn't
Mysterio, because what it does, it does a lot of stuff that Time's Up gives. You have to give clues. The person that is giving clues cannot zero into what they're giving clues to, so they're using cards as a medium to talk to you.
Yep.
And so it's like, ooh, what am I doing here? Am I doing colors? Oh, wait, those guys are colorblind. I don't really want to match red to red because there's some green over there, so they might mess up over there.
Yeah.
So it gives you that clue feeling that you're trying to give off. You're working as a group, and everybody's paying attention to everything that's going on because, like, oh my God, you're still at the killer, and we're all the way sitting at either at weapons or the location that these murders happen. It fits really well when it comes to this. Plus, the art is fantastic in this game. The pieces and components are much better than, and I always go when we're going arts and production is equal to or higher than, and this hits all of those really easily. And what I love about it, it's got that party game aspect that you could do in a large group. This holds up to 7 players, but I've seen it played with more people I've seen it played with 14 people. It's like where you had couples working
Yep.
as one team, and everybody's just working together and looking at the pictures. So it really fits that feel. And I was thinking something like Disney Dixit and stuff like that, but I'm like, I've never played Dixit as a party game. I've never played Disney Dixit as a party game. I always played Mysterium as a party game. It's one of the few games that will bust out when there is 7 people at the party or more, because it just works so well. And so my pick here is Mysterium for art production.
Okay. Yeah. Great party game.
Yeah.
Great production. I mean, I'm not going to argue that. Beautiful production.
The only thing is you're not having words, but you're still giving clues like you would in.
Sure.
So your art production.
My art production. So I referenced the fact that Time's Up is $20. Like, and that's there's a reason I said that, and that's because that is a mass market price. It is a mass market game, and that's one of the reasons like R&R has done so well, because that's really one of their flagships. Time's Up is amazing for them, and I hope they get continued success with it, because
that's why they have a family edition now.
That's why they have all the editions.
They listen to the complaints like, I can't really play something that has movies from the 90s with my spouse who's Gen Zer or something like that.
Exactly. So I appreciate that fact. And I wanted to pick another party game that had a good production for an inexpensive price and also targeted towards a mass market thing. And so I picked Half Truth with this.
It was on my short list. It was just right there.
And that's why, is because that when I bought that originally, it was also $20. And it has 500 cards in tuck boxes and really nice poker chips and the board and a die for $20.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it was a fantastic.
that is one of the best productions I've ever seen for a $20 mass market game. And the fact that you can tell that they're very clearly going for a mass market, because they talk about Ken Jennings being one of the co-designers of it. The other one being Richard Garfield, which is lesser known outside of the Jeopardy world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it might have been an
or
answer
the trivia world. The
trivia world.
Yeah.
But a lot of people know who Ken Jennings is. So
the host of Jeopardy.
Yeah, exactly. If you want to play a game that was created by the host of Jeopardy, and it's a trivia game, and it has a fun little twist to it.
We're going to annoy so many people saying that, even though it's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Known famously as the host of Jeopardy. Yeah. No, here's the thing. The host of Jeopardy, famously a game designer. That's really where it is. From Half Truth fame.
There you go.
Ken Jennings. No. But I love that fact. That's a great party game, and it works really well, because the idea of Half Truth, and it's also a fun party game, you draw a question, and it gives you a question that only 3 of the 6 answers apply to.
Oh, true, yeah.
So all you have to do is get one right to get the number of points that you roll the die for. So let's say it's movies that are more than 3 hours long, right? And it lists off 6 movies. 3 of them are more than 4 hours. 3 of them are not. So, like Gone with the Wind, obviously, right? Put it down there. That's easy one. No problem. But then it's like, but wait, was Forrest Gump that long? No, probably not, right? So you know not to do that. But what about Citizen Kane? Huh. You know, and so some are very obviously very close, right?
Yeah.
On purpose.
On purpose, yeah.
And so you're trying to figure out which ones are the correct ones. You can get more points by the more you guess, but if you get a single one of them wrong, you don't get points that round.
Yeah.
So that's the fun little part. A little bit of press your luck, smart trivia. Everyone chooses their answers and then just reveals them, puts them out. Get it so you can have an unlimited amount of people.
Honestly, I keep joking about the fact that Richard Garfield made a great game and then just went to Ken Jennings for the trivia.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's probably not wrong, right? Functionally, it's a really solid game.
Yeah.
So there you go. Half Truth is my art and production, and you can get it for like $20 still.
Yeah,
so.
No, it's relatively cheap, and they just did a sequel, no?
Yeah. Like Half Lies or More Truths or something.
Or something like that. Half Truths, More something or another.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it was just on Kickstarter, so.
Yeah. So good on them.
All right, moving on to Meaningful Choice.
There we go. I'll be starting this one off. Meaningful Choice talks about like the impact on other players' strategy, the depth of strategy, tactics, or skills, and do arbitrary choices make an impact on the game.
Yeah.
So this one is a party game that this was the one that I really kind of like struggled with a little bit. In fact,
this was the easiest one for me, in all honesty.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this one was the one that I really did, because like Time's Up, I don't consider having
a lot of depth or strategy or tactics, yeah.
But the one thing that it really excels with is that it creates its own like inside jokes with the players.
Mm-hmm.
But not only just that, the fact that knowing a lot about the player can really help you out about it. Like, if it was Arnold Schwarzenegger, I might say the governor, right? Or the governor, right? And only if you know what that means, like, is it so obvious, right? But somebody who doesn't know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is might not know what the governor means, right?
Yeah.
And so the more you know about the person, the better you potentially have. Unless everyone knows that much about that person, and then it actually makes it harder for the game. So I picked just one for this reason. Yeah. Because that is what it is, right? You have to have one of each of the answers. So if I always use bread as the example. So if I put loaf and you put wheat and somebody else puts wheat, well, then those answers get canceled out. And
so you're trying to be obscure without being too obscure.
Right. And you're giving the specific but not so specific answers that they just forget it.
Guess what? This is also my meaningful choice.
I thought so.
This is why it's the easiest one for me.
Yep.
Because one, it's words on a card.
Yep.
Just like Time's Up. And you're trying to give specific clues without being too obvious because everybody else is listening. But in this case, it's co-op.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
Yeah, because, like, that's the thing. If I say the governor and they're like, pass.
Yeah.
Then, like, the next person is like, oh, yeah, I know exactly what that one is.
Yeah.
And then they just look over at their partner and like...
Yeah.
If you know what that is...
Yep.
Like, you know what to tell me. So, yeah, I had to pick this one. Great one.
Yep.
Just one.
No, I don't disagree with you. I just one was my meaningful choice, and along the lines because it's a lot of good decision space and a lot of meaningful choice where how you're trying to word what your clue is, and that's what I like about this game. It leads to a lot of good laughter like Time's Up. That's my main thing is like a lot of these games, I want something that's going to give you those rip-roaring belly laughs and have a good time because that's what a party game is about. It's just having a good a game with your group. And again, with this one, logistically, just like in Time's Up, just like as I was mentioning earlier with... Mysterium, you can play with larger groups. It's 2-7, but you can, if you have dry erase boards, it's perfectly fine. It's just sometimes a lot of things. I've played this with like 10 people.
Yeah.
Went to a friend's company picnic because they have me host game nights for them and stuff like that. This is one that I can play with the big group and just have an interesting time with it because you're just like, oh, why would you put that? I thought I was obscure enough. And it leads to all those little smart choices. Or when you're just sitting there like, well, don't want to use this, but we have an inside joke, so I'll use the inside joke, so they would understand that kind of thing. And so it fits so well for this, especially for this choice. Right. In fact, when I was making this list, this was the first one that went on here, and it went exactly in this position.
Yeah, I can see why. Yeah. So this was the last one I did, but either way, now we're going on to ease of play. So, ease of play talks about, first off, simplicity and familiarity of the mechanisms, likelihood to get to the table, whether it's mechanism or theme, or is it easy to understand, learn, and teach. So, Time's Up, the way I do Time's Up is I always just have people play the first round, and then I teach them how the second round works after the first round is done.
Yeah.
Do you teach it differently than that?
No, if I'm playing with a group that doesn't know like games and stuff like that, so I basically tell them the first round works like this, and then we go into the second round. I'll teach you the second round if we need to, or if I know they're understanding how games work. It's like the first round works like this. Pay attention to what they're saying in the first round because in the next round it's something like just one. You can only give one word clues, and you can't pass in this round. Right. And then the third round is basically charades. That's how I break it down for them.
Okay, so I do it every single round. I tell them what the next round's rules are.
Yeah.
So this one, it doesn't have rounds, but it does have some very specific variations depending on what people do. So this is another. I'm giving a number of words to try to associate with cards, which are words on cards. This is another team game, 2 teams, except this one has an assassin. This is the classic.
I knew this was going to be on your list.
Yeah, this is the classic Codenames. I had to. It was easy. Yeah, I know you hate it. I like Codenames Duet myself. Like that. That's a
that one is a good one.
Yeah,
but that's not really a party game.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But the party game version of Codenames Duet is Codenames, and it is absolutely wonderful on how it works. Because again, I'm trying to associate as many of my cards that are associated with my team to you by giving you one word clue to try and guess that. So again, it's kind of like the flip side of Time's Up, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to give that. It's not a time game, but there is that pressure involved where you're like, oh man, all right, well, I'm just gonna say lumberjack, right? And you got to figure out, it's like, well, tree makes sense, but does mermaid make sense? What about flapjack, right? You know, who knows, right? And then, but I'll tell you a number of how many it associates with, and you have to just figure it out from that information immediately what the clues are. The thing is, getting stuff wrong might hinder your progress because it might even give points to the other team, or make you flat out lose if you hit the assassin, which is super fun. It kind of goes into that, like, oh, Governor. If my teammate doesn't figure that out, everyone else is like, bro, all right. And then that's the very next clue. Governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then my teammate goes, oh, that's so dumb. Why did I not figure that out, right? So, Codenames just made sense for ease of play.
All right, so for my ease of play, this is my Hear Me Out. And this one is because it doesn't have a lot in common with Time's Up other than it is a party game and it's fantastic and it's fun. And people tend to enjoy this just like Time's Up. But it's not played over distinct rounds. This one has both a competitive and a cooperative version to this game. And this is all about the simplicity and familiarity of the mechanism and the likelihood to get to the table. And this one's Hitster. And the reason being is because it's a party game, you're listening to music, you're trying to put them in a timeline in a sense, but you're also competing against the other players because they're going to be like, ooh, I don't know this song, but I know it's in this time frame. I think you're wrong here. So that's where they can do the push your luck and gamble and steal points basically away from you, just like they can steal points when you say you give them a clue and they're like, I know what the clue is now. And so I like that aspect where you can get the plus. It is a very simple game. You're listening to music and you're trying to decide where it's going to go in your tableau. And I like it as a co-op version. You and me have a blast with this one on road trips. Oh, yeah,
we love this one. That is now my go-to recommendation for, like, road trip games.
Yeah, because all I do is put the map on the screen and we just listen to the music and be like, okay, this goes in this timeline or something like that. And it does a lot of... It's one of those games that's really easy to teach and understand and learn. Yeah, just like Time's Up. It is very simple. And the fact that it's just music... I've run into a couple people who don't care for music. Sure. But everybody loves music, most likely. Yeah. And so it really plays really well. A big part of the reason why I wanted to put this on this list, because you and me were just talking about it before we did the podcast, there is a version of this game that we want to get that really falls along the lines of Time's Up, and this is Hitster Bingo. Now, I can't put that on my list because I haven't played it yet, but it really, I am so tempted to import it for $70. That's how tempted I am.
It'd be worth it.
Yeah.
We got Pokemon Splendor for not much less.
Yeah, so I'm very tempted on doing this, but ease of play, it fits really well. Like I said, this is a Hear Me Out, but I know it just goes well. So if you like the rip-roaring, the partiness, the have-fun aspect of Time's Up, I think you'll love Hitster, especially if you enjoy music. And the music range in this one is from, like, the 40s all the way to the 2020s. So it is like, it's not as simple as you think it is. I remember when we first played it, and I was like, oh my God, I got achy breaky heart. And I don't know if it's 91 or 92. Where do I put it in my timeline here? And I couldn't remember. And well, yeah, we just have a blast with this one every time. So
every time.
And this is the main reason I put it on this list, is because we're talking about party games, and you can't put a party game, this not on a party game list.
Yep. I mean, I don't disagree with you. It is as easy to play as that. I'll give you that. It's a very different game, but it is as easy to play. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Cool. All right. And now we have replay value, which I'm glad I'm actually going first, because now we have another crossover. This is where I put medium. Because it's the same idea. You have...
Which is the one you think is out of print?
Medium.
Oh, okay. Because it was greater than the games, yeah. Yep.
There's now no more at the moment, but I'm sure they'll figure something out. I mean, they're not no more. But
so when we're talking about replay value, we're talking about the length of time and scaling well, minimum number of plays for the full experience, and the expandability.
Yep. And so Time's Up comes with like 500 cards minimum, right?
Yeah.
And they're double-sided, so they have a lot of words. Medium doesn't have nearly that much, but what it does offer is the fact that since there's multiple sets of words that do combine together, so you play with a certain number of sets depending on the number of players, shuffle them up, there should be some good crossover. Here's the catch, though, is that since it's not trying to guess the word that's on it, you're trying to guess the word that matches in between. Technically, you could do this randomly. Now, picking a card makes it easier, but the fact that you can do it randomly shows how much replay value it has.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, technically, you play it once, you get the full experience. You understand how the game works. But the fact that you're going to be having so many choices, so many cards, so many variabilities that change up the experience every time makes it fresh. And that's what I like about it. It plays well. It plays a little bit longer than Time's Up, but Time's Up is not the shortest of party games.
No, it's not.
Minimum number of plays is technically 1+, because again, it has so many of those variables. And expandability, it's easy. Just a pack of cards, throw it in there, done, boom. Easy. Doesn't need much expansion. They don't really technically have expansions, but like, Time's Up does, but Medium doesn't need it, honestly. Yeah. So
it has a lot of bang for your buck in the one box.
It really does, yeah. And you could just simply make your own cards and then play it that way, right? Yeah. What's the combination of hamster and the Governator, right? I don't know.
Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito, yeah, right? Yeah.
Well, it works.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that.
Hamster and Governator, they had a lot of movies together.
They do. They do.
All right, my replay value one is the one I don't know if it's still in print. I've seen copies out in the wild. I actually saw a couple of copies while I was out board game shopping recently up in Denver in the Colorado area. But the reason why I say I don't know if it still is, the same reason that Medium might not be in print because Greater Than Games went out of business. North Star Games might not be in business. I don't know. I haven't seen anything new with them. But this one I put for replay value because length of time is scaling well. It plays roughly as long as Time's Up is. The minimum number of plays for the full experience. It's mainly a lot of cards and questions and stuff like that. Kind of like what is happening here.
It's a good pick.
And expandability. There is so many sets on this one. Just like there's 3 or 4 sets of Time's Up, plus all the bunch of expansions.
Yep.
And this could have fallen easily into pieces and components. You know what game this is?
Yep, Wits and Wagers.
Wits and Wagers.
Wits and Waggers.
Wits and Waggers. And again... there's a lot of different sets that integrate with each other. Just like I can put the Family Edition with the Time's Up other one. It's just the color of the cards is going to be a little different. So if you're playing for every red card here, that's going to be the blue equivalent in the title recall. So you can mix and match them. It's fine. What I like about the Wits and Wagers is that I don't need to know the right answer, but I can gamble who I think knows the right answer, and that allows me to score my points in that way. You can play it as a full party game. We've played this massively. Gamehead Geek hosted a party where we had like 20 people playing this game, and everybody's just throwing bets down and having a blast on this one. It's good, wholesome gambling because it's basically... who is the largest ERA leader or who has the lowest ERA in Major League Baseball history? And it's like, oh, I don't know that one all too well. Someone put that number there. I don't know if it's really that low.
Yeah.
But I think Daniel would know that one because he follows baseball really well. So I'm going to bet on his. But I'm also going to hedge my bet and put it on this number over here. Yeah. And it's basically you have a certain amount of chips that you're going to get money, but you can gamble the chips that you've won. You just have to put one of your chips with it. So you can make more money off that process.
Right.
So I like everything that it does. It gives that yourself that fun gambling aspect. The one set that I most recently have, and I have a playmat for it in my closet over here, is the Vegas edition.
Yeah.
Which really fits.
This is a great version.
Which really fits the theme of this one. So my pick again for replay value is Wits and Wagers.
Wits and Waggers. There you go. So we had quite a bit of crossover, but that's all right. That should still give you some ideas. Again, if you played one of those games, tell us if you agree with our opinion. Otherwise, if you haven't, go check them out if you like Time's Up. It's totally worth it. Mm-hmm. So, we want to thank you so much for tuning in today's episode. If you ever want to email us directly, you can email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com. Also, we have an Instagram, instagram.com/everydayboardgames, where we post silly shenanigans and what we've been playing lately.
Also, pay attention. This is the end of the cycle. And we've hinted at it. There is something that's going to be starting up in the month of June, so be listening.
Very good.
All video re-uploads and reviews are found under YouTube at youtube.com/@everydayboardgames. And if you like what we do, there are 3 things you can do to help us grow on the platform. Subscribe if you're not, like the video, and comment down below and tell us your thoughts on the subject.
We also stream our episodes live at twitch.tv/everydayboardgames. Be sure to follow us over there so that way you can be notified when we stream live. We love it when people join in on the conversation, and you can see the episodes before they air on all of our streaming platforms.
And all audio versions can be found on most podcast platforms under Everyday Board Games Podcast. This includes Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, and Apple.
So we want to thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I've been your host, Daniel.
And I've been your host, Daniel.
And we want to thank you for listening to Everyday Board Games.
And remember, every day is a good day for board gaming.